Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you for joining us for this second Startup Grind here in Luxembourg with a very interesting, person with Didrik EIRIKS. We would also like to thank Lux Future Lab for hosting this event, and also our partner Media65 for recording it, and our other partners like MixVoip and BPM for enabling the logistics. So, without boring you too much, we will start a little bit. So, the aim of Startup Grind is to showcase what entrepreneurship is, a little bit to educate about entrepreneurship, and also to show that it's possible, that it's not something that is up in the sky, in the clouds, or you need a miracle for it, but it's really something which is achievable. And during our first event, we were very lucky to have Xavier Buck sharing his experiences, but we had a better interviewer than myself. It was Michael Jackson from Mangrove, so I will try my best tonight. So, and without further ado, I would like simply Didrik. I know it's very difficult, but just describe yourself in one sentence.
Oh, myself in one sentence. It's, well, born and raised in Iceland, moved to Luxembourg 20 years ago with my family. Always been driven by finding answers to the why, or how could this be. So I've always had my own companies.
What are you doing now?
Now I'm involved with quite an exciting, call it human, extraordinary human adventure. Because all things start with a small spark of an idea. And I went to a startup weekend, presented an idea. A group of people joined the idea. We worked on it over the weekend and presented on Sunday afternoon, got some awards, and we decided to continue to work on this together. And that has now, we formed a company and just celebrated 1 year anniversary.
That's good. And how did you get this idea? I mean, I suppose, as you said, you had several companies before, and so how did you get this idea? What made the kick to, on the one hand, to grab especially this idea and go and, how shall I say, develop it?
Because things often happen before you recognize they pop up. I went to the first startup weekend, liked the atmosphere, the organizers. I enjoy being around young, dynamic people who want to be creative and contribute. So judging from the good experience of the first one, get an email, next one is coming up, yeah, I'm going to go. It was nice last time. In the meantime, sitting by my computer and searching for images that I could use in a presentation related to other things, and it came to me, why doesn't this photo, this is the perfect photo, it can convey such a message that I'm trying to say with all these words just by looking at this photo. So, but why doesn't this photo tell me something about who made me, how am I allowed to use it? You find these perfect photos, you search information, and you, after 10, 15 minutes, you found out that you don't know who the author is, you don't know if you're allowed to use it. And these days of cowboy times of just cropping and stealing, I think they are coming slowly to an end on the web. So the idea pops to my mind, wouldn't it be nice if this piece of information would actually tell me I am made by, and you're allowed to, and that would make my life easier, save me time, and I would happily give credit to the person that had created it. So let's make a system around that.
On the other hand, are you an IT guy?
No.
No.
But savvy user, but
Yeah, well,
nothing
you're a
wrong.
savvy user, but you were thinking a little bit like an IT guy. And what made you take the move in order to go and say, okay, now I present it, and were you aware what you needed to realize it?
No, that's the beauty of being naive. You get yourself into something, and then you just trust in the universe to bring to you the sources that help realizing it, and that has actually happened because among the team there were people with certain skill sets that I was lacking, and together it's a collective wisdom and effort. They contributed this, and they knew that one, and that one got connected and got interested, and we would not be what we are today without people who have stepped out of their comfort zone or made extra contributions without any financial involvement. It's just like out of sheer passion for the idea, and being part of a team, learning. We all learn from each other. Yeah, it's a community type of thing.
But if you think a little bit back, would you have, if you had this idea or similar idea, would you, let's say 5 years, 8 years ago, or even 15 years, would you have done it the same way? Or did your experience, which you got a little bit in your over your path in your business life, did it make you change a little bit or see the things a little bit different?
Definitely. We all mature with experience.
Hopefully.
And yes, that's the aim, to grow. And having had worked with, and still working with thousands of people in different countries, it is this new approach to find solutions, collective wisdom and efforts. If we imagine all of the people here in this room, we would pull together our brains and time and efforts, we could actually do a lot. But individually, by ourselves, it's a bit tougher. So we build on the strength of each other. So in this case, it wasn't my plan in any way to make a company out of this. It was just to present the idea, and if it would be a nice idea, who knows. But there was something about giving these people who became members of that team 100% level of trust and respect immediately. It didn't do any background checks or anything like that. And that is maybe reflecting a little bit on, I remember my first job. I was only 12 years old, and there was well, now it's illegal if a 12-year-old gets a job, but this was a scrap metal merchant, and he was running his operation in a little garage. And so these were people coming with copper and lead and different types, and it had to be measured, and there was a price per kilo, and you paid them in cash. And he was that generous that he paid me full salaries, like I was a grown-up at the age of 12. And sometimes he had to travel around the country to collect and go abroad, etc. And so he left me with blanco checks to go to the bank and get some cash if it was needed to pay out some more.
And that is really trust.
That is blind trust in the beginning. But I had to be accountable for everything. So that many kilos, that much, and so on, and this is all the sum, and so on. So, but this part that so many of us, there's a little phone there. Yes. So many of us begin relationships with skepticism. It just begins with, I have to be careful. I'm not to be abused. Who are you? I have to have that verified. It's just like, and this lengthens the whole path towards effectiveness. If you are immediately at that high level trust and respect, everything goes smoother. So in this case, coming back to the startup, we immediately released so much energy. We could so fully focus on the topic, and that brought out the best in each of us, I believe.
And how did the people react? I mean, the people you gathered now around this new project, did they immediately buy in this trust? Did they feel at ease, or?
Well, they have to tell for themselves. They're still around, most of them. Yeah, I believe so. We enjoyed. It's so much about simple, easy, and fun are three key words in my vocabulary. That because nobody likes to do anything that is complicated and boring. That drains us. That's not where we like to hang out. So accepting new challenges. But we were lucky in a way, because soon after this startup weekend, there was an upcoming event in Luxembourg, in some 3 weeks after that, where we were given a chance as a startup to present ourselves. So it came very quickly in this path that we had to take a decision. Either we are going to do it or not. So sometimes building or releasing energy within a group of people that are driven to do something, actually we were starting on step 2 without knowing it. So we go to a startup weekend, you present, idea gets some awards, Monday comes, what's the next step? But it had actually been built in the process that some of the awards, we got facilities at the impact tree, so we were ready to make step number 2. We immediately had a place to meet. And step number 3 was participating in this ICT Spring event. So actually it was a path that was without and what's next. It was already there.
That was now, but if you look a little bit backwards in your business career, would you say that it was easier, this new project was easier because you had some experience, or because also eventually the circumstances were better, different?
Mix of both. Mix of both. When you become passionate about some idea and with all this cooking, entrepreneurship, and idea creation, and actually more or less having the internet being reborn, it's just it gets my heart ticking. It's exciting times.
But I mean, the startup grind is also about trying to show what you have done in your path, and also what you would eventually do differently, or what you have learned in order to apply to the new project. If you look back now to your career, which experience would you say has helped you the most in getting to the next step in that project or in any other project? If you look back, I mean, you started as a small child. I mean, you had the luck to start and to get a very decent salary, as you said. And in order for the next projects you did eventually one of the projects backwards influence the next one, and so on? Is there a logical step, or isn't there a logical step? What would you say?
Well, this is the 11th company, I think. I'm directly involved or directing, and there is a certain addiction. You enjoy this step of starting from something small, putting something together, finding the right people. There's this enthusiasm stage, and it's a lot built on hopes and dreams. And if we describe the entrepreneur, I think everyone on the planet is a dreamer. Well, they should be. But the entrepreneur is a doer, dreamer and a doer in one. And it's actually quite important for society because they ask these questions. They are willing to work hard. They are willing to get somewhere. They hopefully realize they can't do it all by themselves, so they need to take others with them. And others should also be rewarded for building that. In entrepreneurship, I think it's very important the first steps or the first weeks when there's this burning enthusiasm. It's almost like naive and semi-stupid, but it's like so fun and there's something happening and we have all these blind hopes and dreams and yes, we can do it and so every time I see a group of young, dynamic or a group of whatever age of passionate group of people, it's like a small fire. Oh, that's nice. There's a little fire there. Whoa! And instead of coming to the team and say, "Oh, where's your business plan?" or "Go home, come back in 3 months, and then I read the business plan, send you back, do some more homework, come back in 2 months," and the fire is gone. And therefore, it's so important that you right at the start, anyone who is supporting entrepreneurship should actually be in the mindset of saying, "Oh, there's a little fire there. Hey, can you chop in some wood there, and I'll throw in a little gasoline, and it gets moving."
Sparking ice.
Yes,
Sparking the ice.
In the early paces, it's. I've often said that, getting the business off the ground or getting the plane up in the air is that we all have like an X amount of runway. Okay, so someone has an idea, and he's puzzling together a plane, and then somebody steps in. Okay, I'll fix these dynamics. I will not teach you all about dynamics, but I'll fix it for you so there are more chances that this actually gets involved by doing, not by only teaching and waiting for the other one too. So being actively involved. So there's this little plane, and you put in all this energy, and the wheels are hardly moving. And you're like, "Oh, is this worth it? Is this ever going to fly?" And then there comes a little disturbance. Oh, I need to do this, and then I come back to it. And you come back, and now I'm back, and you push and push and push, and it's hardly turning. If this happens a few times, you're out of runway. Therefore, it's so important that its energy is being used correctly at the early phase, and anyone involved with the entrepreneurial ecosystem should actually look for ways how they can help quicker, because it's going to give better results and more chances that this plane, most planes use 2/3 of the runway, and then they're up in the air. So.
But I like the analogy with the plane. When you say to go up very quickly, would you say it's better to be a plane or it's better to be a rocket?
Wow. Well, I haven't thought about it like that. I've thought about it like cars.
Yeah. Or cars. Cars.
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes when I'm in traffic, I'm behind a truck.
And you're stuck.
Yeah, you feel like, man, that one goes slow. But he's able to carry a lot. Okay? So once he gets where he's supposed to go, he can offload a lot. And then there's this sports car. But it only has place for 2. But it goes very fast. Burns a lot of energy and can't get really that far, but can go fast. Wouldn't it be nice if it would be a pickup? Seating 6 and can load something. You know, that mix between. It's agile. It can carry the needed things to build whatever once you arrive on the destination, and it can carry a few people along the way. So it's a mix. So this pickup analysis is closer to the rocket.
Yeah, okay, that's right. But then let's get back to the plane again.
Yes.
You have now the plane. You have identified the plane, the spark, and so on. You know how long the runway is, and so the plane, it needs a pilot. What do you think about the pilot? When does he or she come in?
Mhm. Leadership, in this case, leadership is important, because somebody needs to convey the vision, convey the trust, convey some experience, or convey a way to collect the needed parts and wisdom and effort. So the role of a leader, one of the key roles of leader, is to create the environment that brings out the best in each member or each part of that group or team. So human skills are very important. You can be an entrepreneur that have a laser beam focused on the goal. But if you are going to get there on the cost of others or by abusing another person, you are definitely not doing the right way. Plus, you damage your reputation. And reputation is one of these key assets that anyone builds over a lifetime. And I've been fortunate to be surrounded with great family and friends. And this has all chipped in. Because there's something that the group can achieve. So the leader, like I say, create the environment that brings out the best in each of the members.
And you would say that the leader is born? Are you born a leader? Can you become a leader? Or does the leader arise over time? If you look back on your career or your impressions of other businesses you have been in.
Mm-hmm. When I had my first company in 1982, a computer training center, 21-year-old, and I remember when it came to the first seminar, my stomach was just like, and I had to go to the toilet literally. I was so nervous. This was just like.
You were one person?
Sorry?
You were one person company or?
No, we were a little group of, but I was director and schoolmaster. And came to the first seminar, and you're in front of people that are a lot older than you, know a lot more than you in their fields, but PCs were new, and so you had something to share. But very quickly you start to connect with the individuals because you are no better than anyone else. That's one of the key things. You are just one pixel in a big screen, and our role is to contribute. So it's the well. Now I add in. It's one of my passions.
Please, we're here to share passion.
Yes, exactly.
To make people passionate.
One of my favorite letters in the alphabet is W. Just like that letter, W. Because I think the world would be a better place if it would be a W and W and W and W. Double the time and double the vacation and so on. And in some cultures, this is actually called double we. And this letter is tremendously powerful because where does the whole world go to seek answers or educate themselves or advance knowledge? We all go to www. That's the place. That's the place where people have contributed knowledge and for someone else to benefit from. But the real power of W is actually in another place, and now I need to twist in here. We have all been parts or participated in a group that wants to achieve something huge. We all get united because the goal is so big.
It's aiming high.
Aiming high. We know that we individually we can't achieve it. We have to buckle up to achieve that. And we've been part of organizations like that. And it starts well, but then we have seen it collapse because egos have happened in the group, and the whole spirit goes down, and somehow the simple, easy, and fun part goes. So actually, one of the biggest limitators are actually our egos, and they're self-imposed limitations. And the entrepreneur, the classical entrepreneur, is, I have a great idea. I'm going to get rich and famous from this idea, and I'm going to, it's ego. And then they realize that they're exactly like everybody else. They get 24 hours like everybody else, and so on. So there's a limitation, and so they hire a few people, and they will let me go, help me to, okay? And then they realize that group actually has a limit. They need to reach out of the group to expertise in different fields, and they start doing business with certain individuals or companies, and they like that relationship if it's good, and it becomes amigos. So, but there's always that ego. You see, ego, amigo, amigo, and that's where the real power of W steps in, because when you put W in front of ego, what do you get?
What do you get?
We go. It goes from 1 to 2 or beyond. And that's one of these things that we have seen is achieving the unthinkable. That's a group of people that have shared some vision. They have taken out the hierarchy. Yes, they have a leader, which has to have a trust and respect, and has to be worthy of that consistently through a period of time, and this releases so much energy and passion. It's passion, of course, and then to celebrate the successes. That's one thing. We sometimes don't take time to celebrate. That's such a small thing. Still worth celebrating.
The small step.
Yeah, every step is in a way. Well, every day you get in life is a success in that way.
Yeah. And if you take, for example, as you said, your first company, were you already aware of this we go, or did you learn it the hard way?
I learned it the hard way. Yes.
The very hard way?
No. It was 16 years I've been part of an international company within the network marketing, multi-level marketing industry, which is a lot about people starting their own independent businesses and forming teams in different cities, and having these cities work together and these groups work together has actually, I've learned a lot. That's one of my passions in life, is life and people and how we interact with each other, and where are our pluses and minuses, limitations, and so on. So I've seen this in action by certain principles in place. And one of them is that when the ego is too high, it only pushes people away. When the collective efforts and the celebrations along the way, which each member has contributed to, is far more rewarding and meaningful. So through that experience, I matured a little bit. Still am.
Yeah, you will always get a little bit more mature.
Yes.
Coming back to this ego, is if if somebody starts a business, the business develops, evolves, the business lives, you make mistakes, and so on. And if, for example, like your example, if from the amigo or the vigo, the ego rises, do you think that it's possible that when this ego has risen and is all alone there and notices what he or she has done, that there's a way to gain back again this trust of just the other stakeholders or new stakeholders? Or is it better to say, okay, let's call it a quit and start differently?
Mm-hmm. The ego and confidence are two different things. I've done failures. Some have been very expensive lessons. None of my companies have gone bankrupt in that sense under my leadership, but still, learning the hard way is part of growing. And none of us is perfect. Most of the sad things are related to some sort of a human interaction, where trust has been abused, or somebody has bluffed you, or that remains more as a tattoo in your experience, and that actually pushes you on a path to be more skeptical to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and whoa, it takes a long time to earn trust. So if we can somehow shorten this and allow ourselves to, I trust you, because 99.9, in my experience, 99.9% of people, they are worthy of trust. I have a coming. I always
Please,
say twist
please.
in here.
No, that's no problem.
I have a friend who is a sociologist. So he's traveled around the world with groups of students to study how communities work, both from currently and historically and so on. And if we picture crossing a street in Calcutta or in some of these highly populated areas, and we from the Western world, we look at this, and this is just like a suicide to cross that street. The traffic is just like no order, there's no traffic lights, there's no signs, there's no zebra. And we say, that's scary. In our world, we have rules and lights and signs, and it's all very clear, and we are all very busy to tell each other that is right and that is wrong. And what's the differences in between these two communities? In India and those places, the people are putting trust in other people, and they are able to cross the street. But in our world, we put trust in system and rules rather than people. Simplified.
Yeah, but that's then a little bit the framework we are living in. And the businesses, in your point of view, should they try to change the system, or should they live with the system and adapt themselves to the system?
I mean, everything has pluses and minuses, for
No,
sure.
no,
for sure.
not for that.
Yeah. I think the behind all of this is actually purity of intention. If how many times have we come to a website that has such a promising, and we have experienced something different? How many times have we made a contact with a person that presents like this, and it's really interesting, and later on the journey we actually found out that the motivation was hidden, there was some hidden agenda, or there was actually there was an ego that was greedy, or power, or instead of service and value and these things. So actually, in my relations with people, is purity of intention, because we are not perfect. Everybody is learning. We are shaping in a changed world. There is not one single right answer to the future of next generation when it comes to pension system, healthcare systems. But we need to make an effort. That was one of the calls of the Prime Minister here, is that every member of society has to make a contribution during these times of change. And I've been so happy to see this release of energy that is happening here in the entrepreneurial space, and also within Europe, and of course motivated partly from the US and around the world, is this release of creativity, and seeing the workplace of tomorrow. Photos, you take a look and it's like, is this a coffee shop, or is this a library, or is this a living room? What is this? It's actually a place where people release ideas and creativity, and they group together and realize them. So the workplace of tomorrow, especially within the info space, which is, like I say, the internet is being reborn with people, places, information, and everything everywhere. It just changes the whole picture. So the cubicle 9 to 5 is, well, it normally doesn't fit any entrepreneur, but yeah, it's no, I've forgotten the question. Was there a question behind this?
I also forgot it. I was just listening to you and was amazed about this one. But let's get down a little bit to business.
Yes.
Because, I mean, it's great to have these ideas, to have the passion, the spark, and also helping to get the plane off the ground, and with a pilot or without a pilot, or putting the pilot in place. But it's about business. I mean, show me the money. It's show me the love.
And yeah, nothing lasts forever unless you're able to pay your bills and build something on the safe side for the future. And there is a certain relation in that. First thing is value. Whatever you're doing, you have to focus on adding value. Because on the other end, there will be someone who sees that value and is willing to pay for it. And that brings in the cash flow. Having a goal to be the richest person on the planet, and you die in the same way as you were born without money, I don't see the relation. So, but money is just one of these tools that needs to be in your toolkit to actualize things. And it's also part of the trust, because you need to pay on right time, and if you have a track record of that, you are trustworthy, and you're everything. It's one of these things that are related to trust, and making profits hasn't been like I've never seen that as the main challenge, especially if you have a challenge with it, you just don't take salaries. You take the train and you work day and night for free. You're very competitive, and in that sense. So and if your focus is, and purity of intention is adding value, at some point in time it comes to you. So.
At this point in time, if you look at your various businesses you have done, was it quicker or faster in one or the other businesses, projects you had? I mean, this point where you got some revenue and you could develop the business more, etc., and so on. This where you step up, and when you get more or less break even, the Holy Grail.
Yes.
Yeah? What I would like to know is, if you look at different businesses, has there been different period to get to this point where, let's say, you more or less break even? And if so, would you be able to identify why it was different? Or, for example, in that project or business it was faster, in this project it took longer, or in this project it never took off? Or if you look back a little bit.
Well, there's
Sort a little bit and not.
yeah. I'm just wondering because if I'm
please
look
go ahead.
generally back,
Yeah, please.
I would say it would be somewhere in the range of 18 to 24 months. There's something about building knowledge, building networks, building experience, getting customer validation, getting confidence, polishing a product, polishing your services, your sales pipelines, and so on. In general, I would come back to around 1.5 years, 2 years. But I've also been part of businesses that have become profitable on day one. But they have not. Yeah, I cannot. Yeah, also it's a question of whether you're alone in the business or if it's a group of people in a business that could matter. Yeah, I haven't analyzed it.
No, it's just not analyzing it. But this, I guess, what is interesting to know a little bit, how this time, this 1.5 year or so, what are the thoughts which go through your head? I mean, you are nearly in front of the wall, but you have to carry on, and maybe you are the only one who believes that behind the wall there's something. How did you carry on yourself? I mean, passion is nice, but you need also to keep it alive, to stimulate it.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, eventually, how did you manage the stakeholders, if there is a way, or in general? Or let's put it the other way. What would you have done differently if you look back now?
Yeah, not listen to the naysayers. Because when I was young and I'm not sure about that. And talking about innovation. The word innovation means you do something in an unconditional way. And then I've been in front of people supposed to have a lot of business experience, and you're presenting something that's not been done before. They say, that's very innovative, but I'm not sure if it works because I've never seen it done like this before. Oh, that's why it's called innovative. It's something in an unusual way. Yes, I've been many times in the position that people say, I'm not sure on that. I think it will not work, or let me give you that advice, or no, it's just it's the gut feeling, and it's also commitment, of course, and it's hard work.
Of course.
Every day there's a reason to in a way talk yourself into giving up. Never been an option. Talking to yourself, I sometimes ask, who is your best friend? Tell me, who is your best friend? Whom do you talk with the most? It's yourself.
Normally, yes. Yeah.
And who is your worst enemy?
Your inner self.
Exactly. So it's so much about thinking, and this way of self-doubt. You see, how can dreams and doubts occupy the same space at the same time? Either one pushes the other. Okay? And maybe there is a certain beauty in being naive. Honestly, we have seen people that have pushed for progress against the odds, but there was something that just they could not explain it, but they enjoyed what they're doing. They were passionate about it. And then somebody came along and made some sense into this, and later on they were able to make a living or something like that. So that's part of a success, a definition of success, realizing something that.
But there's also another question around if entrepreneurship is a virus or a way of life. How would you see it for yourself?
It's a lifestyle. It's
You
a
would
choice.
say a lifestyle.
Yes.
It's not a virus, because a virus you can fight it, or because by virus it's also that because as you have been talking about passion,
Mhm.
the analogy with the virus was that it spreads over.
Multiplies.
Yeah.
I think that comes to the personality, whether people are multipliers of inspiration and encouragement to others, or if they are like diminishers. That what you're doing is nothing in comparison to. That's diminishing an effort of someone that is actually a success in their own perspective, and it's actually a step towards greater successes if it gets nourished. So. Coming back to the computer training center, this was about jumping in the pool. Sometimes you knew maybe 2 pages ahead of the student, but it was a lot of work and working with a lot of people. It became successful very early. So I was working a full-time job in managing the company, and then on the weekends I filled a jeep with computers and gave out to villages different seminars, and this was quite profitable. So you had like 5 salaries in a month, and this I come from just normal, hard-working, honest people. But I was always told that if it's to be, it's up to me. In that sense, you just have to work hard and do your job, and then you don't have to worry. And so, having experienced success relatively early in that sense, you expand your mindset. And so I said to myself, when I will be 30, I will be working only on the things that I decide. So that meant more or less I had my own company and directed the flow or the direction. And then by the age of 40, I will only work on the things that I enjoy doing. And then I said to myself, well, at the age of 50, I'll only work on things that are in the philanthropy space. Not all has happened in that way, but
Except the age.
sorry, the age. Yeah, well, I'm still puzzled by this. I'm looking at my kids and my friends' kids, and they are so quick in collecting those years. I'm slow in it. I don't know. There's a mismatch.
Yeah. Is there maybe a question from the audience? If you like to ask a question to Didrik. No? Yeah, please. So the question is, it's just for the mic, it's recorded.
Yes.
What's your biggest mistake?
Expensive lessons. I worked on a project for 2 years without realizing any of it. That instead I got a lot of experience. Could I have, well, if I would say biggest mistake is not doing, there's more risk in not doing than doing. There's a funny approach when somebody comes with an idea and wants to start a business, and they're driven, and then the whole system is built around, oh, don't make mistakes, it's so horrible, 90% of startups, they fail. But nobody says, what's the risk of not doing this? You will learn something. I'm not talking about risking your financial, your home and your mothers and fathers and that type of thing, but at least be involved. You will learn. So the biggest risk is not doing it. But something is ticking in you and motivates you. There's this advice that I was given and give to every young person or everyone else is just follow your heart. There isn't a long distance between the heart and the brain, but there's a lot in the system that says use your brain first, no matter what your heart says, because I can show you facts, and the facts are all about the mistakes that somebody has made in. But actually now we are recognizing that failure is actually a success. It's a preparation for future successes if you take the lessons out of it. Well, that's one way.
Thank you. Another question? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's forward looking. I'm still 20. There's still the 20-year-old in me, so I still have that plan. But actually, the years are there. I think to living a life that you will be looking back upon, that your life had some sort of a meaning or made some sort of a difference. It all involves contributing to someone else. And to this society that we build together. I've been involved with some humanitarian activity in Malawi, and there's a beautiful word in the Malawian language, and the word is Ubuntu. And Ubuntu means that I am what I am because of who we all are. It's about the interconnectivity between us. What you do actually influences my life, and that's how we build communities. So this part of well, that's a sensitive thing when you see, like in Malawi, it's 14 million people who live there, 2 million orphans, mainly related to AIDS, and you see a 3-year-old child that is worried about food tomorrow, and we have never ever in our lives been hungry, never ever worried about food tomorrow or the week after, and there's an individual there that doesn't have a mother or father, has never been hugged or loved, and has worries about tomorrow. How will the internet look when these people, there's expected new generation coming into the internet, these people are able to contribute to our lives? They are part of our lives even though they live in a distant place. So every citizen, this part of I'm fascinated that we have more than 7 billion people on this planet, and each one of us are born limited editions with unlimited potential. That's yeah.
All right.
The biggest kick I get is to see a person growing from one stage to another to realize their hopes and dreams. Just to watch that and be around it is a reward in itself. So when I was 20, yes, there were some things that mattered. You're right. It happens incrementally, like one bit at a time. Having goals, big lofty goals, can be. I've sometimes wondered, because we have a lot in our teaching about setting goals and be focused on your goal and measure your goal, and actually sometimes the joy of going from A to B is ruined under pressure. My focus is about enjoying the journey. And if you enjoy the bits and pieces along the way, when you reach that point, which is the goal, you will be more, I think, fulfilled than actually being pressured and taking the joy that there's no time for life along this. I would rather be personally more happy having enjoyed reaching a goal, even though I would have been sometime later than somebody else would have set the goal. You understand yeah? Because it is so much about the moment that actually, at my age, the future is somehow closer than yours. Good point. Now as a startup, you have like two main tasks. You need to build a company and you need to build a product. And these are two different focuses. First thing is value. That's common to both. You want to add value into the lives of the people that you're going to make a livelihood from working with the company or in that group. And your product needs to add value to the customers or to the users, so that they are willing to pay for you, so that you can continue paying your bills and building your company. So it relates all together. It's all about people at the end of the day.
So, what I would like to ask you, if you had a wish, what would you wish for?
Oh, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
I wish there would be more people with purity of intention, driven by value and service to others, than actually being blinded by greed and power. And as a measurement of success is the size of a wallet, I think that can be useful in a certain way to measure with money, but it's actually a tool, and it's not for me a measurement of a happy, fulfilling life. It's about what you can help others or do with that leads to, like I say, the thing that all of us will do is that we will write the stories of our lives, whether it gets published or not. Okay? And the stories of our lives are all about interactivity with other people. And as entrepreneur, you're driven for some action. And as a leader, that's one of the things of leadership, is that we are all attracted to action. So one of the roles of leaders is to create the environment that brings out the best in each, but they also need to create action, because people get attracted to action. There's something happening I want to see. Is there something for me? Is this interesting? Etc. etc. Second point is people commit to something where they have a role to play. They get respected, rewarded, and recognized. And if this activity lasts for a period of 2 or 3 years, people stay long term where they are cared for or loved. We all know this from our lives. We are part of something, group of something, and these have become our friends, and we have enjoyed, we have had challenges, we have our ups and downs together, but we have written together chapters of our lives. And this is the reputation, this is the building blocks and these stories of our lives, and it also gives this meaning and enjoyment, of course. But life is tough. Bills need to be paid. Taxes need to be paid. And we see sometimes groups of people that actually have privileged to be in a certain situation, and the other ones need to do a lot to keep the privilege for the other ones. And then I come back to that we all need to make a contribution to make a community, do it in a respectful way to each other. Remember, reputation travels more today than ever. You can connect with anyone on the internet, more or less. I've said to my children that they're the generation where every single part of their lives will be digitized, their whole story. And maybe one day somebody comes and takes this digital biography that they made and twists things around and makes like a bad version of, tries to abuse them. Yeah. You have no guarantee that, because we leave digital fingerprints everywhere. But the only guarantee you have are the people that your life has crossed with, and they have seen what type of character you are, under which circumstances you react like this, and those circumstances more in the tough ones than the good ones. And these people will then come and say that this has been manipulated. You understand the... Yeah.
So on this note, I would first like to thank you for sharing your passion with us, and also your analogy with the plane. I liked it, but unfortunately we don't have a plane here. So what I would like to invite the audience to take the elevator to the next step, where we have a small like a networking cocktail, and also where we can share more, and also if you, as there were more questions, that you can talk more with Didrik in private. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much.
Welcome to the Startup Grind.